I feel like whenever you watch a family channel, three words come to mind. This is cringe. What the hell? And I feel bad for the children. Well, today I feel especially bad for the children because one of the biggest family YouTube channels just got sentenced to up to 60 years in prison. Which is great news! This is a great day for the children and for everybody on YouTube. Now, the channel in question is 8 Passengers, and if you don't know who they are, they're a family channel that got popular in 2016, and their content primarily surrounds the lives of their children and filming every single moment of it, which is absolutely horrifying when you think about it. Like, imagine if every single moment of your life, every single cringe moment you've ever done was filmed live for millions of people to see and point at you and make fun of you of. Like, that's prime way to speed run yourself to getting bullied in school. And I believe a lot of these children did actually get bullied in school, so that's pretty rough. But that being said, that's over now, thank God, because Ruby Frank, the wife of the couple that runs the 8 Passengers channel, they got sentenced to a very, very long time. And a lot of the crimes that people were suspecting to have come out have officially been written down on pen and paper, and we can actually see exactly what they've done. As if they didn't already admit it, a lot of it on their YouTube channel. But unfortunately, I don't really have many of the clips, or any of the clips. They deleted their channel, and I don't think many people recorded that without like reactions and stuff. So I don't have the raw footage for you, but that being said, we have the raw legal writing, which we're going to take a look at today. Now, this family's been accused of a lot of crimes over their lifetime as a channel, one of which was when they sent their kid, who I guess he did something. They made him sleep on a beanbag chair. They removed his bed and I think like everything else in his room, and he just slept in an empty room with a fucking beanbag chair for like 2 months or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's just the tip of the iceberg for the abuse that a lot of these kids went through. Another thing was that one of the kids got sentenced to a wilderness camp for like a month or so. Now, if you don't know a thing about wilderness camps, they're usually not for rehabilitation. They're like terrible places meant to torture you, basically. Like, physically torture children until they become better. It's like a pseudo conversion camp, basically. And he came back, and this dude was just listing off abuse after abuse. And the parents were laughing. They were just like, haha, look at little Billy here. Look, he learned a lot, didn't he, from getting tossed around by the bullies and thrown out a window into a bush. So this is a plea deal. The official plea deal from the court case. If you don't know what a plea deal is, it's basically a piece of paper that you have that you say like, okay, I'm guilty of all of this. And then they'll give you a lesser sentence. It's pretty much to make the trials move a bit faster. But this is pretty much the law version of what she's admitting to doing to her kids and the evidence behind that. So this is a long list of stuff, so I'm going to summarize some of it for you. We have 2 kids, RF and EF. I believe the paper primarily focuses on RF, and RF is a little girl ages 11 to 12, I guess, depending on the time of the stuff happening. And some things include physical torture. They made her work in 100-degree weather, like in the backyard, I believe, was one of the things that happened. She got like really bad sunburn, was given basically the equivalent of prison food, and also wasn't given water. I believe in the second paragraph here, the kid's hand was also bound. Like they basically just tied their hands a lot. When they got injuries, they treated them with duct tape, which, if you didn't know, duct tape isn't exactly a first aid supplement that you'll see inside of your medical kit. So clearly, really bad fucking shit as well. They kicked him while wearing boots. They basically tried drowning him, and they were choking him. And also, an extension to working outside, as if this wasn't already bad enough, there's obviously emotional damage. And also, working outside in the heat barefoot. Keep in mind, like I said before, this is 100-degree weather. Like, you wouldn't even go outside in that weather, let alone fucking doing yard work at that. Now, all of this is really bad stuff, but fortunately, she's getting charged for this stuff. Now, the other thing is that it's not just her, it's also her therapist, I believe, is also largely involved in a lot of the abuse here. At least in the eyes of the law. Apparently, her therapist was also abusing her and like helping her abuse these kids. I believe a lot of it was actually in this fashion as well, as this plea deal implies. And the big thing, I believe she took this plea deal specifically because she wanted to lessen her sentence and blame her therapist for her abusing the kids, basically.
For the past 4 years, I've chosen to follow counsel and guidance that has led me into a dark delusion. My distorted version of reality went largely unchecked as I would isolate from anyone who challenged me. I was led to believe that this world was an evil place, filled with cops who control, hospitals that injure, government agencies that brainwash, church leaders who lie and lust, husbands who refuse to protect, and children who need abused. My choice to believe and behave this paranoia culminated into criminal activity for which I stand before you today ready to take accountability. Jody Hildebrandt was never my business partner, nor was I ever employed by her. I have never received wages from her or connections. Jody was employed as my son's counselor in 2019, and in 2020 I paid her to be my mentor.
Yes, because of course, the world being evil, and government not being nice, and churches having bad people in them, therefore I should abuse my child. Like, her statement here literally does not make any sense. Like, she's basically claiming that her therapist, Jody, I don't remember her last name, was the one pretty much like instilling all these ideas into her to basically be like, look, she brainwashed me. No. In what fucking universe does government control and the world is bad equate to I should be beating my children and take their bed away and make them sleep on a beanbag and feed them basically food from the dumpster? What fucking universe does that make any sense? And the answer is that it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense because she's a fucking psycho, and so is the babysitter. And so with those two pretty much sentenced to forever in prison, I feel like there's one person that we're forgetting in all of this. The husband. The husband name is Kevin Frank, and he was a pretty big part of that channel throughout, I believe, the entire existence of it. If you remember watching anything about 8 Passengers, he was the bald guy, basically. I specifically remember him advocating for one of his kids to go to the wilderness program, being like, haha, yeah, look, that kid got disciplined, when the kid came back with, like, cuts and bruises, and basically talked about how miserable of a time he was having, except he was forced to smile and pretend like everything was okay, and, like, blinking twice for no, and that he needed help. In all of this, why is he not arrested? He's basically just skirting it in the side view and playing as if, like, he hasn't really done anything bad and being like, yeah, I love my kids. So, unfortunately, he wasn't arrested as well. I honestly do believe that he played a pretty big part in the abuse of these kids, but alas, maybe we'll get him again sometime. But as for now, at least we got 2 of the culprits, Ruby and Jody, I believe is her name. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. What was the sentence? The sentence would be 4 counts of aggravated child abuse, which is a 2nd-degree felony, each one carrying 1 to 15 years in prison. So, that being said, she has a minimum of 4 years in prison and a maximum of 6 years in prison. Although I do also believe that Utah has a law against consecutive prison or consecutive charges. So I believe the maximum she can get is 30 years in prison, which is still a long fucking time. Thank God for that. But the actual sentence amount, I believe, is going to be determined at a later date by some fucking boogeyman council. But at the very least, she was charged with a lot of stuff. I really hope she gets the maximum sentence of like 30 years or so. I honestly still believe that's not enough. I mean, people get life for far less. But at the very least, she was charged. We'll just have to wait to see what the actual final sentence is. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm really glad that Jody and Ruby are in prison now. I'm also really glad that 8 Passengers channel is over. And I really, really hope that this sheds a really big light on those family channels. Because honestly, those family channels are fucked. Like, I'm just saying that straight off the bat now. There probably is not a single one of those family channels that is not somehow exploiting their children. And I'm going to put $5 on that. But anyways, thank you for coming with me. Thank you for taking a look at this plea deal and all the drama. I just want to talk a little bit about it because family channels were always really, really gross. And at the same time, really sad. I am really glad that this news has come to light and that the people that have done really, really bad things are now finally paying for their crimes. And I hope those children get to a better place and can actually be able to live out their life now. So yeah, thank you so much for coming by, and I'll see you around.